why do I need to claim this label like of a morning person? Why does that even matter? Well, how we name ourselves is going to shape how we live. So if we see ourselves as, I'm not a morning person, I don't do well in the mornings, you're always going to enter the day defeated before you begin. But when you begin to believe that you are a morning person, you're not just claiming a label. You are setting the trajectory for how you're going to live the rest of your day and how you're going to be in this world.
You're listening to the Big Ideas Podcast with Ashlee Ilg. Tune in for honest conversations as we pursue bold dreams, redefine what is possible, and empower the next generation to live big. You'll hear stories that prove over and over again that just because something wasn't a part of our plan doesn't mean it won't be used for our good. Whether you're already an entrepreneur, you dream of becoming one, or you're raising the next generation of entrepreneurs, this podcast is for you. There's no time to waste on your big ideas. So let's get started. Here's your host, Ashlee Ilg.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Ideas Podcast. I'm so excited to continue these fun conversations this season. And today I'm really kind of hoping that we might change your idea about mornings and maybe the way you think about them, whether you consider yourself a morning person or maybe not. I know I'm kind of a self-proclaimed night owl, but after reading this book, which we're going to get into, my mind has been changed a little bit about what God says about mornings. So like we love to do around here, we love to kind of flip the way we think things maybe were and to see what God says about them. And so without further ado, for today's conversation, I am joined here with the amazing author, speaker, and self-proclaimed morning evangelist, Jennifer Dukes-Lee, and she is talking all about her latest book, How to Love Your Morning, Faith-Filled Habits to Build a Life of Joy and Purpose One Day at a Time. So Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Ashlee. This is going to be fun.
Yes, I'm excited. There's so much I really want to get into about this book. I know
Yay!
I was telling you before we started. I dug into this book. Like I said, I'm one of those, I don't know if rebellious is the right word, where I'm like, well, I don't really consider myself a morning person. So like, what does Jennifer have to say about this? Because I trust your words. Like I've said, I've read other books of yours. It's All Under Control is one of my favorites. It just kind of broke me wide open and just helped overcome a lot of those controlling tendencies and all of that. But for this book, I really just kind of want to start with the morning person, the declaration you just kind of make right at the beginning, like we are all morning people. And I'm like, oh, really? Right? Tell me more. So,
Ashlee,
yes. So yeah, someone who, would maybe argue opposite, tell us, why are we all morning people?
Yes. Well, I get the resistance. And quite honestly, Ashlee, there have been many times in my life, probably most of my life, where I wouldn't have said, oh, I'm a morning person. Like I wouldn't have grabbed onto that label. And I think part of the reason is that we look at what morning people are supposed to be. They're like these, people who rise with the dawn. They look like Disney princesses. They are like, they do a workout at 5. They have a gourmet breakfast. They exegete the whole Bible of the whole book of Leviticus. Then they iron their bed sheets, like all before 7 or 8 a.m. And it's like, I'm just like kind of crawling out of bed with my hair sticking out in 7 different directions. And so then I'm like, that was even before the aesthetic of Instagram that kind of leveled it all up. And now you look up #morning routine and it's like, if that's what a morning routine is supposed to be, if that's what a morning person is, well, that is not it for me.
Right.
I started to write this book about mornings based on the advice of my daughter, because we've just always had really healthy morning habits in terms of like seeking God, believing his mercies are new, knowing that, every day is a chance to begin again. It's been like the way that I raised the girls. And one of the girls said, hey, you should really write a book about mornings. I had no idea what that meant. I thought I'm probably disqualified from writing a book like that because of what I just told you. Like, give that to like some 25-year-old influencer that is like, doing yoga poses in front of their floor to ceiling windows overlooking the ocean.
Right.
But no, but what happened is I started to study all of the mornings of scripture. There are more than 200 of them. And what I discovered is that God has a soft spot for mornings. that God is a morning person.
Mm,
And because we are made in his image, we are morning people too. The thing is about being a morning person, it is not a clock thing. It is a God thing.
I love that. Yeah, you say something like, it's not so much about the hour we wake up, but how we wake up. And I was
That's
like,
right.
okay, I can get behind that because
Yes.
I do like how my day unfolds and the things I'll do, like the first part of the day, it just won't be at 5 a.m.,
That's
or
right.
if I can have anything to say with it. I mean, 5 kids, you never know sometimes when you're waking up. But um, yes, I love the way you kind of flip that script on how we might look at our
Yeah.
mornings. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ashley, if you're a night owl, you're also a morning person. Like, it literally doesn't matter. And I know that some people are like, well, why do I need to claim this label, like, of a morning person? Why does that even matter?
Mm,
Well, how we name ourselves is going to shape how we live. So if we see ourselves as, I'm not a morning person, I don't do well in the mornings, you're always going to enter the day defeated before you begin. But when you begin to believe that you are a morning person, you're not just claiming a label.
mm.
You are setting the trajectory for how you're going to live the rest of your day and how you're going to be in this world. You're stepping into the rhythm of God's creation, aligning your life with his renewing work, really believing that God's mercies are new every morning. And when you really buy into that, it changes how you enter into a day.
Yeah, that's so good. And it kind of makes me think about, okay, so I feel like there's also maybe this elephant in the room, right? Where I just want to tackle this kind of head first, because again, from my
Yeah.
perspective, so I have this really vivid memory of I was at a mom's Bible study. This was years ago, and we were talking about our morning time. And as you can imagine, we were all exhausted moms. And I don't know whose idea this was to go around. And I don't really remember the intention. It wasn't about like, let's see who has the better morning routine. But as you can imagine, that's kind of how this sort of started to unfold. Like, well, I spend 30 minutes and I have a journal with my quiet time. I was like, I don't think I always have quiet time with the Lord. Like, let's just start there. I went through this season with 3 under 3 where no matter how early I woke up, they always seemed to know I was awake. And so finding that time, literally this morning, I was like, let me get up a little early and like practice some of what Jennifer talks about in her book. And sure enough, my 4-year-old was like, Mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's too early for you. Why are you up now? But to say all that to say, so we went around the room at this Bible study and all the moms were adding what they do for their morning routine.
Yeah.
And it just kind of built this, again, it was not intentional, but it was this guilt or shame of like, I'm not doing it good enough. I'm never going to do it well. I'm already defeated, like you said. And so what do you say
Yeah.
to the woman who's like, I don't need another book that tells me I'm not doing it good enough, or I'm
That's
never
right.
going to measure up? Because I know you,
Yeah.
you tackle that tension like head first. So what do you say to
Yeah.
that person?
Yeah. So the message is not work hard toward having a perfect morning that looks beautiful on Instagram. It is not work hard to have the quiet time that your bestie has. The message of the book is, and I believe the message that God has for us is that we get to meet him in the first moments of our day, even if they're messy. I remember when I was a mom with young kids, and I bought into this idea too. Like, good Christians needed to carve out these lengthy morning sessions with God, and there would be tomes of commentaries and flowing prayers and scented candles and journals with profound insights, and they were all like written in really perfect
Right.
penmanship,
And
right?
highlighted in different colors.
100%, yes. I mean, that seemed so unrealistic for me. I was just trying to I was like trying to figure out how to pee alone without some kid breathing under the doorway, right? And it's just what I learned is that the success of a morning isn't measured by how much holiness you squeeze out of it before some heavenly timer goes off. I am very much about biblical literacy. If you've read any of my other books, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you know I am very much about biblical literacy. That piece may come at a different time of day. Now, I'm going to help every woman find time with God every single morning. It's imperative. It makes such a difference to start our way with God. But what that looks like for you is going to be different from what that looks like for me. I wanted to find the perfect routine for
Right.
everybody when I read this book. I wanted to find one that fits for us all. But I realized really quickly that that wasn't going to happen for the reasons that you described. Here in just one room, people in the same season of life had a very different way of
Right.
approaching. So this book is not about that. It is, though, about when you open your eyes, looking for the hope and the presence of God so that you can step into your day with His joy, His comfort, and His spirit, no matter what you face.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned not having a one size fits all,
Yeah.
plan or ideal morning. And I love how you created these morning archetypes. And
Yes.
as someone who loves like personality quizzes and just, finding out all the things about yourself or like the just self-awareness quizzes or whatever, I love taking your quiz for it. Highly recommend everybody that's listening to go find it, and we'll leave links for it. But tell us about the morning archetypes and why that is
Mhm.
important.
Yes. When I was researching this book, I actually interviewed hundreds of women in various seasons of life. And I also learned that among those women, there was really different reasons for wanting to wake up. Like what motivated them? Like, oh, I can't wait to do this in the morning.
Mm,
And that's where these four types were born. The first is the daybreak doer. This person wakes up really ready to hit the ground running. They're like, they probably are the most productive in the morning versus any other time of day. So, what's helpful for the daybreak doer is number one, to acknowledge that. Number two, well, probably number one, to know that God is a daybreak doer too. He's
mm,
like working all the time. He's
yeah.
like doing great work in this world and in us, and we can partner with him in that. How cool is that? So, I don't want a woman to just jump headlong into work and then leave everything else aside, but it might be helpful for that woman to start with her list. Like this is my to-do list for the day. I'm just going to get this all out so I know what my day looks like. It
Mm,
makes you feel settled. You can list your intentions, and even like on the side you can list your gratitudes, that this is the things I'm thankful for today. And every day when I'm back in my every moment when I'm back in my planner or whatever, I
right.
can also see what I'm grateful for. Then you can go do your Bible time. Then you can go have your breakfast. Then you can go do all those other things, but it gives you a sense of motivation to
Mm,
start. The second type is the morning mover. This is somebody who, like me, I'm a morning mover, wants to get moving right away with either a walk outside or a stretch routine. Or for me this morning, I had a hit workout with some friends in town. I live on a farm. So when I say in town, it means I travel the country roads to town.
which is
And
a
for
commitment.
me, yes, that's right. And so for me, that is, whether that workout was at 5:30 or 7:30 or whatever, like whatever time I wake up, to have that time of workout is really helpful in motivating me and in boosting my mood and metabolism, right?
Mm,
So then the third type is the meditative mind. And this is the person who immediately goes to the Bible or prayer, before anything else. And sometimes as Christians, we think, oh, that must be the one that God likes the best.
yeah.
But it's not true. I mean, we should all have some meditation. We should
Right.
also have some prayer every morning. That's the ideal, right? But that person really is looking forward to it as soon as they wake up, which is a beautiful thing.
Mm,
And finally, the social seeker. This is somebody who wants to connect with people. They need that sense of connection to start their day. I really see social seekers in children, people who, as soon as they come bounding out of their bedrooms, they've got stories that have been locked up inside of them for an intolerable number of hours. They want to be held, they want to be loved, they want a sense of connection.
yeah.
I also see that people come to understand how much of a social seeker they are when they are widows or divorced. And they realize suddenly, in this quiet house, my person isn't here, or this companion I had isn't here, or there's something that's just feels a little bit lonely. So for those people, it might be helpful to have like a text string with friends right away,
Mm,
like, hey, this is what I'm going to read in the Bible this morning. Let's talk about, are you going to read that too? Or just like texting each other like gratitudes or going on a walk with a neighbor, something that feeds into that social seeking part of your personality. The
Mhm.
cool thing, we can we can connect with God in all of those
Right.
types when we are doing things as a daybreak doer, when we are moving our bodies, maybe we're listening to worship music or like if we're walking, we can listen to a Bible app. When we're meditating, obviously, we're very much involved with the Lord in a very meaningful way. And then as a social seeker, man, He made us for community.
Right.
He's right there with us when we're together. So whatever your type is, know that that's like how God wired you. Like lean into that. Put that thing at the very top of your morning ritual to be the thing that this is how I'm going to start my day. So you have a customizable morning ritual that I have in the book. And the
Mhm.
very first thing, it could be helpful to put that an action from that type at the very top to get you going right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I took the quiz twice and I had, well, because I was like, I think I'm both. So, and I love how you talk about how, I mean, number one, there's no hierarchy, like there's not one that's superior, like
Right.
you mentioned. But I thought it was also interesting how you talked about, you could be a blend of them. And so for
Mhm.
me, I'm a mix of the daytime doer and the meditative mind.
I love it.
And I loved hearing what you just explained even further about the daytime doer, where God is a daytime doer, like when he breathed the first words into
That's
creation,
right.
that was the first morning. And
That's
he
right.
was he was getting after it. Hey friend, I wanted to take a quick pause to ask if you've taken the quiz yet to find out what type of dreamer are you. It's super important to discover what's working for you, but also some things that may be keeping you from really pursuing your greatest purpose. It takes just 2 minutes to find out if you're the skimboarder, the sunbather, the sandcastle builder, or the surfer babe. So jump over to dreamerquiz.com and be sure to share your results and tag me in it. Now back to the show. Because there are some mornings where I'm like, I'm excited to get out of bed and jump right into my planner and start tackling my list. And I think over the years, I have misunderstood that desire and I've almost felt a little guilt about like, just wanting to start the projects. But I love how you kind of helped frame that into, well, it's the way you were created, and also there's still space for surrendering that daytime plan and
Hmm.
those to-dos or whatever's appointments, whatever they are, first thing in the morning. But there's nothing wrong with waking up and wanting to like tackle the things.
Yes, that's
So
beautiful.
I love that full circle of
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't have to feel bad about wanting to get stuff done in the morning anymore.
That's right.
Which,
One helpful tip that I learned from a mom that I interviewed was she's a definitely daytime doer, and sometimes her list can distract her from her quiet time. Like she'll
mm,
be sitting there and she'll be suddenly thinking about, oh, that's right, I got to answer that email. So what she'll do is she has like a notepad right beside her for quiet time. She knows that when that thought comes, I'm just going to jot that
right.
down. And this is the thing that I'm going to do later. But right now, to-do list, I'm with the Lord. And when I get to you, to-do list, God and I are going to co-labor to handle the things on that list. But it's
I
such a
love
beautiful
that.
way of just acknowledging like, okay, that's something that needs to get done, but I'm going to like focus here on
Hmm.
God.
Yes, and there's so much power in writing something down, so it
Yes.
gets out of your brain space, and you can
Mhm.
focus. And yeah, I call it a good brain dump, and I kind of do something really similar.
Yeah.
So I love that, and it's
Oh,
just
great.
whenever something random pops in, I just have this brain dump list, and I'm like, I don't know exactly when I'm going to get that done, but I don't want to forget it, and I can't focus on it right now. So yeah, I love that. And also one more thing with the archetype. So I thought it was really interesting, and again with kids and always wanting to not only be self-aware but also learn what their needs are and how to help best support them and help them love mornings, was to kind of study what their types were.
Yes.
And when you were talking about the social seeker, I'm like, oh my gosh, 3 of my 5 are social seekers. And they need to talk and they need to tell me all the things and they need all the snuggles. Um, and I've never been able to, again, put that to words of like, this is just how they wake up. This is what they need first thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's so important to study, whether they're your kids, your spouse, your roommates, anybody that, you wake up with or have those first morning hours near. Um, and yeah, so
Yeah.
I love the way you do that.
Yeah, so that's so cool with your kids that you're recognizing that. And I think that there's a way to begin to develop um, an awareness of God in the midst of their social seeking.
Mm,
So, one thing that moms or dads could do that are listening, if you've got kids who are social seekers, like decide that you're going to have a memory verse or read a story, like one story per week that you're going to study from the Gospels, for instance.
mm,
And it gets to be this fun discussion about
yeah.
that. Like, they get to talk, they get to engage, they get to memorize together as they're eating breakfast, as you're holding them in the morning.
Mm,
My girls had little prayer journals. They were like the spiral bound prayer journals, and they would write their little prayers while I was doing my Bible study in the morning. And Lydia and Anna tell me that that was like how they began to shape their
mm,
morning routine. Now that they're adults, they're adult women.
wow.
They still have those little prayer journals. And, at the time, it just is like, does this even really matter? Like, are we really developing anything here? Because it wasn't like really beautiful or intense. It was just this thing we did.
Yeah.
Turns out, yeah, it mattered. All of these little things matter. All of these little seeds that we're planting in our
Mm,
homes.
yeah, that's so good. Um, and so I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and maybe talk about some, um, well, like you referenced the weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the
Yes.
morning. And his
Yeah.
mercies are new every morning. And you shared some seasons that were very hard for you, and how
Yeah.
your morning rituals really helped ground you and give you those placeholders. So you held on to them when you didn't necessarily have the like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like the emotional capacity maybe
Yeah, you're
for
right.
thinking through, like, I need to go do this. And so what would you maybe say to those listening who are maybe walking through their own like dark or uncertain season,
Hmm.
and their mornings are just a little bit unpredictable?
Yeah. I think that for most of us, we have those mornings. I don't really know a person who hasn't woken up to hard things. And I have, I tell myself all the time, I cannot wait for perfect conditions to decide to start my day out right. My dad passed away a few years ago from congestive heart failure, and he was on hospice for a really long time, and like months. He wanted to stay at home, and mom wanted to keep him home, but she couldn't take care of him by herself. So I was there a lot. My other siblings were there a lot. Mornings were chaotic. There were medicines that dad needed. I was still like juggling things back home. They needed breakfast. They needed cares. They needed love, nurses coming in, social workers. And plus we were just like dealing with the grief of
Right.
losing dad little by little every day. And I remember there were times where it's like, during this season, like, morning rituals are just dispensable. Like, we don't have to do that now in the chaos. Like, I'm just going to let that go. What I learned though is that that's actually when I need it the most. So, a morning ritual helps frame our attitudes. It helps us see each day as a gift, even the hardest days. It helps us to be compassionate to the people around us. They're really grounding.
Mm,
Morning rituals are really grounding, and they create touch points when everything else turns upside down. My morning ritual looked a lot different during those seasons. It needed to adjust. I had to shrink it down.
mm,
And that would be my advice to a woman going through a really difficult time, or a man going through a really difficult time, is just shrink it down, make it what you can do. For me, it looked like always taking care of my body. Like, don't forget to take your thyroid medicine. Don't forget to take your supplements. Drink plenty of water, Jennifer. Drink plenty of coffee, Jennifer. Make sure you have your breakfast just as you were caring for your parents. So, like, all of
right.
these things with my body, like moving my body in the morning, even if it was just a 10-minute walk,
Mm,
that was an important part of my ritual. It was an important touch point. My Bible reading time was not as intense. I remember many times listening to worship music as I was getting ready for the morning, meditating on a Bible verse that was already like in me, that
mm,
because it was like part of like who I was, because I'd had it memorized. So then I could meditate on that, or meditate on a story, or listen to an audiobook, or like a Bible on audio.
mm,
All of these little things that weren't as intense as usual, but really helped set the stage for the day, helped set the tone for the day, so I could take care of myself which helped me take care of other people in my life a lot better.
Mm. Yeah. And you talked about having those scriptures kind of already in you, you know,
Yeah.
and just on the days that maybe they feel maybe insignificant, but just knowing like I'm planting the seeds that I don't necessarily need today, but one day I
Hmm.
might, and being able to draw on them when you need them. I mean, I just feel like that's such a proactive, like, I mean, it takes faith even just to take action when you're like, I don't really know why I'm doing this, but knowing that you probably will, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many times where like something kind of obscure that I've read, just even like the genealogy. Like
Hmm.
I've read the genealogies and um when I so something will come in my mind and I can just ponder like look at the faithfulness of God through generations. And it would help me, as I'm thinking about caring for my dad and my own kids back at home and my mom wasn't there and it would like even just a genealogy would come to mind and I'd be like look how God cares for us through generations. Like, and he
Yeah.
begat who, and then who begat who, and then some of these people led right straight to Jesus. It's pretty cool. Like everything can produce some fruit later on down the way, and if we put it into what I call my faith bank. So,
Hmm.
continuing to put scripture in on the best days helps you for sure on your worst ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just knowing that scripture that his mercies are new every morning and joy will
Yes.
come in the morning. I mean, I, dealt with postpartum junk after my littles. And I mean, the first three were born in 3 years. So there's just like this pretty
Wow.
big window of life that it's pretty foggy.
Yeah.
And I remember several times just going to bed thinking, Lord, I don't want to repeat today again tomorrow. Please let tomorrow be
Mhm.
fresh. Please let your mercies be new in the morning. And I
Mhm.
just clung to that promise alone, that like today is yours. I showed up, I did what I could do, but tomorrow
Mm.
it's fresh all over again. What will you have for me, Lord? Like,
Yeah.
please make it fresh. I know you said you will. I can't wait to see, and it would just be going to bed in that peace of tomorrow's new.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I can like feel that in my bones of like how hard those seasons were and just how much I needed that promise to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that just is, it's so baked into the scriptures, and when I was studying them, those two that you mentioned, that his mercies are new every morning and weeping may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Those I cling to. And there's so many others, like 200 plus of
Wow.
them. The facts, like that the very first thing that God created on this earth was a morning when he said, let there be light. And how he just had this habit of meeting people in the morning and saying to Abraham, hey, in the morning I need you to like pack up the donkey and get your son Isaac and head up the mountain. I mean, sometimes we're called to do really hard things in the morning, but
Yeah.
God is saying, I'm going to be with you in it. My presence goes with you. He says to go make laps around Jericho, like get up every morning and go do that. I mean, sometimes the things that we're called to do every morning don't even really make sense.
Yeah.
Like do laps like in gym class around some walls and blow some trumpets and hope these walls fall down. Really, God? I mean, so it can feel like that, but God is calling us to some really interesting and sometimes some really difficult
Mm.
things in the morning. But he says, I go with you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that I'm calling you to, I go with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to butcher this line, but there's a line in your book that I highlighted, but it's like, um, I want to be the kind of woman that wakes up and can't wait to see what God's been up to while I've been sleeping. Something
Yes,
like
that's
that, right?
exactly
That was
right.
exactly, because I'm like, I mean, I just felt like that was for me. Um, just waiting to see again, I think just living in that tension of like, I've learned well, I'm learning to surrender my perfect plans and just know that he's up to something so much better than I could have planned. And even what that looks like going to bed at night and waking up in the morning. And okay, God, well, I thought I had this day planned, but I can't wait to see what you've got going
Yeah.
instead?
Yeah. It's so cool because he's like, he doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
So when we wake up, it's like, oh, what is for me today? What is this gift? Like, who do I get to love? How do I get to feel God's love today? Who do I get to comfort? How do I get to feel God's comfort in this day? How do I get to see the beautiful things that he's created, whether it's a sunrise or a sunset or both, or what beautiful things might be in your backyard, or kids bounding
Yeah.
out of their room. I mean, there's so many gifts to behold every single morning.
I love that. I love it. I love your enthusiasm. Okay, so I can't not ask you about your treadmill. Because
Oh yeah.
as an avid like treadmill walker myself, I was just blown away. I was so inspired by how many miles you walked as you wrote this book. So I'd love for you to kind of just share about maybe how that happened and the lessons you learned. And I'm sure there's more than even what you just wrote about, but like how those small steps, just turn into something more.
Yeah. So I have a chapter on movement in the book. Like, is there something that we can all do to treat our bodies well every morning? And I walk every morning. I have a desk treadmill. So there is a desk and there's a treadmill under it. And I just get it going. And I end up walking a lot of miles, a lot of steps every day while I'm working. And I actually wrote the whole book while walking,
It's
and
amazing.
it was about 650,000 steps, which is 305 miles. And so, for perspective, that's basically like going from Long Island to the US Capitol in Washington, D.C., or for our West Coast friends, from San Diego to Las Vegas. And the thing that struck me is that if I would have gotten started and realized that math would math out to only like 9 words per minute, I would have been like, I'm not going to be able to finish a book if that's all I'm going to be writing is 9 words per minute. But that's how good things come to life slowly, one step at a time. In my case, 9 words at a time, one morning at a time. And my hope is that that would be even an encouragement to anyone who's listening as they begin new things with their morning. Like, every movement matters, every
Yeah.
step matters, every moment with scripture matters. Every, jotting down in your gratitude journal matters. Even if it's just a little bit, it all matters. And someday in the future, you'll turn around and see just how far you've come. Just as I eventually finished a whole book while walking, whatever it is that you have in your life that needs to come to fruition, like one bit at a time,
Mm.
including with your mornings.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so good for my soul because, as an entrepreneur and as a mom
Yeah.
and as an aspiring author myself, it was just so life-giving to just be like, it is compounding. I mean, you mentioned Atomic Habits. That's one of my favorite books.
Yes.
The Compound Effect, all of those, The Slight Edge, all of those books that just talk about the things that maybe are easy to do, they're also easy not to do. But if we
Yeah. That's so
are
good.
faithful in them, yeah, they do. They add up to such something so great, maybe something even greater than we realized at the time, which I think is probably more often the case. But it was just so good. And I just the visual of you walking and being so faithful and showing up and writing this book, I was like, what a gift. Like, this is so amazing. It was beautiful. So yeah, thank you for doing that and being your own evangelist for what you're encouraging all of us to do. So
Ashley, here's something funny I haven't told anybody yet. I think it would be interesting since you asked about this chapter. It was not in the original manuscript.
oh
Yeah, so I turned in my manuscript to my editor, and he's like, you need a chapter on movement because you're kind of talking about it in this other chapter, but it really needs its own. Like, if you're giving breakfast its own chapter and you're giving sleep
sleep.
its own chapter, then
So I
you
was like,
need to
sleep.
give movement its own chapter. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I did write the whole book while walking. So that's so fun that you asked about it, because now I really love that chapter, and I didn't even have it in there originally.
Yeah, which again, that just goes back to the whole point. Like, you didn't even mean to be doing it, but you were, I mean, you didn't know, you know
Yes.
what I mean? I can't try.
Yeah, it wasn't even gimmicky. Like I wasn't telling anybody about it. I
Yeah.
was just doing it,
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, this is actually it's my favorite chapter. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up with a question, but I have this excerpt from your book and I'm going to read it because I don't want to butcher it, but it just I love talking about why what we do matters so much and from so many different, perspectives and points of, our work and the way we show up every day. And I don't want to give away any spoilers for how your book, wraps up or anything like that, but I'm just going to read this part and then you just kind of riff however you feel like you want to.
Absolutely.
Okay, you say, you see, this kind of waking and loving our mornings isn't exclusively or even primarily about you and me.
Yeah.
Loving your morning isn't merely a way of getting ready for a day, though that's a good thing. Loving your morning isn't just a path toward finding joy and purpose in your own life, though I hope you are. Learning to love your morning helps you come alive, not only to
Mhm.
yourself, but to every human in your sphere of influence, so that you can share God's astonishing grace with a wounded world that could use a whole lot more light. You get to be a lighthouse set up by God to guide others home. Oh, it's so beautiful, but it just makes my heart so full to remember, like, gosh, we can get so wrapped up in making our mornings all about us
Yeah.
and even just our time with God, which is, like you said, it's a beautiful thing. We need to. But like, why? Like, what's the ultimate goal? Like, we have to walk
Yes.
out of our houses at some point. So,
That's
like,
right.
just, yes, go share that, whatever point you want to. But
Absolutely. I knew from the very beginning when I started writing the book what the end would be. And I have a very special story at the end of the book that is related to something exceptionally kind
yes.
that people did for our family that was a way of bringing, in essence, morning light, morning joy to our family when we were in a really hard place. And to me, that story embodies what it looks like when we are morning people out in the world, when we reflect the morningness of God, the
Mm,
hopefulness of God, the joy of God, the comfort of God, like to really see people, to really engage with them, to really bring comfort. And at times it will be us. We will be the ones on the receiving end because sometimes we have nothing to give. But that's what this is, this body of Christ, that we weep with those who weep and we rejoice with those that need rejoicing or that want to be rejoiced with. So I think it's so important to keep our eyes open for the ways that God wants us to share our light with others, and also to recognize that there are little lighthouses in the forms of people that are
mm.
bringing light and joy to our lives too.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, so you just made up a new word, but we're gonna go with it. The morningness of God. I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's reflect the morningness of God.
That's right.
I love it.
Yes, that's exactly it. He's just so full of light and hope, and his morningness is what we're called to be. And I think about that great day that will come in forever, in eternity, where the whole world is lit up with the morningness of
Right.
God. Jesus, the bright morning star. How cool is that?
Mm.
I mean, the hopefulness of a morning comes to us in in a way of Jesus rising out of a dark, dark place on resurrection morning. Like the whole story hinges on that particular morning. That is proof to me that Jesus is a morning person and that he is calling us to reflect that resurrection type morning, the morningness of God to those around us.
Mm. And how perfect that we're having this conversation. And when this releases, Easter will have just passed.
That's right.
And yes, oh, it's so beautiful. Well, we can talk so much more about this and the
Yes.
topic, the purpose behind it. But for time's sake, tell everybody listening where we can find their copy of How to Love Your Morning, how to find you, follow you, stay connected with you, and I'll have, of course, links in all the show notes to find you too.
Fabulous. Well, you can find me at Jennifer Dukesley on Facebook and Instagram. And as for the book, you can go to howtoloveyourmorning.com. All of the retails are listed the retailers are listed there. But if you want to just pop over to Amazon or your favorite independent bookstore, that's awesome too.
Yes, yeah, they definitely need it. It's such a good book. It's
Thank
not what you think it might be. And so for those of y'all who were like me that were like, I don't need someone else telling me how to have a better morning, or no, I'm a night owl and I'm good with that. Like, I promise you, you're going to find so much goodness in this book. And yes, this conversation has just been a gift, Jennifer. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing these insights, again, for showing up and writing the book to bless all of us. Your words are a gift. And so, yes, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yes. And for everybody listening, of course, always keep your big ideas coming, and we will see you on the next episode. Hey friends, thanks so much for tuning in today. Before you go, it would mean the world to me and my family if you would share this episode with at least one person who you think might benefit from this message. And of course, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can also follow me at Ashlee Ilg on Instagram to keep up with our adventures and for continued encouragement as you pursue your big ideas. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time.